Radio Rahim here with Dominic Ingle. You have a huge fight coming up on Saturday, mainly because it's a championship bout. Those fights are always big, but it's a challenge in the backyard of the challenger. We've got Billy Joe Saunders fighting David Lemieux here in Quebec, Montreal. When you have a fighter stepping into a guy's backyard, knowing that the promoter probably has some interest in the other guy winning, all those kind of advantages are on the other side of the ring. How do you make sure that he's mentally prepared to perform in an environment like that? You know, we started this camp 12 weeks ago. He's in the best shape he can possibly be, and that's the insurance you need as a fighter. You know, if you can already box, all you need to do is make the weight right and get the fitness right. And this camp, in reality, you know, has been a double camp. It's gone on from the Monroe fight into this one. So in total, really, he's been in camp for 24 weeks. And it's a good job. You know, he carried over the fitness from the Monroe camp. He had 1 week out. He came straight back into a camp after 1 week, only slightly overweight. So the camp's been easy. Bill's been in the best shape he can be. He's in a good frame of mind. He knows he can outbox Lemieux, and that, you know, Lemieux's not as mentally strong as him. This is a new relationship for you. You've not been with him for much of his career, so now you guys are getting to learn each other. There was knocks on him about his preparation and his professionalism, even as a champion, coming in ready to fight and do his best. What have you found in your relationship with him, and how do you fill those gaps or mend those cracks? You know, Billy's a very talented fighter, and you find with talented fighters, you know, we had much the same problem with Nazim Hamid when we trained him, that they tend to rely on the talent to get through the fight instead of the fitness and the preparation, and eventually he catches up with you. Now, luckily, Billy Joe Saunders recognised that after his last fight, you know, last December, and it was time to make changes, and it's a big change to come away from your home environment. You know, he lives around about 150 miles away from where I do. He came away from all his friends and his family and the distractions, and he came to Sheffield. And there's an environment with Kell Brook, Kid Galahad, all these fighters. It's a very positive environment, and his mindset has totally changed. Now, I don't just train any fighters. They've got to fit into the kind of mould of a fighter I like to train. I like to train boxers, you know, guys who can box as well as fight, as well as punch. And really, there was only a few little tweaks with Billy. You know, his diet, his conditioning, his fitness, because he can box. He's been boxing since being a kid. So it wasn't a very difficult job. We got on really well. It's always important to have a good relationship with your coach and the coach with the fighter. And he does as he's told. He never answers back. He never disputes what I've got to say. He listens and he learns. Even at this stage as world champion, he's still prepared to take on new ideas and ways to train. We know that what is in front of him, should he be successful, is significant paydays, major spotlight opportunities, maybe even to unify the middleweight titles in one guy, which is what we all hope to do, or at least hope to see. With that said, is he now at a level, preparation-wise, with the way you like to train, where you think he's ready for a Triple G, a Canelo kind of fight? Or do you need one or two more fights before you're in a space like that? No, Billy's 28 years old. You know, like I said, he's been boxing since the age of 8. So he's been boxing 20 years. And if you're not ready to take on those big fights, now you never are. But by the time those big fights come around in 4 or 5 months' time, you know, he's going to be in another camp. We're going to do different things again. We go to Sheffield Hallam University. We train in altitude tents. We do strength and conditioning. So it's going to be another camp. So by the time, you know, these big fights, whether it's Golovkin or Canelo, whoever's next comes around, we'll have almost gone a year of training under me. And that's, you know, there's been big changes in Billy in the last 6 months. In another 6 months, as long as he sticks to the program and doesn't lose sight of what he's doing and gets excited by the training, he will progress even further. And that's the way it's going to go with Billy. He's promised to do everything that I've asked him to do, and, you know, hopefully he wins on Saturday. He puts on a show and a spectacle, and he moves on and improves in the next 6 months. You mentioned Sheffield. You mentioned that Kell Brook's in camp with him for this fight. Who has his own challenges now, to some hurdles to overcome. He's coming to a weight division in 54 that's a lot of heavy hitters. We know that he's suffered some injury in both eyes. When you have a fighter that is a champion heart like him and has the spirit of a warrior and is taking on a challenge like he is, also having immense some injuries, how do you prepare Kell Brook mentally for 154 pounds and the challenges that await him? You know, he's back in training. It was May when he boxed. He's been out of camp a long time. He's now back in. He's training hard, and I've known Kell a long time, you know, from being a child. And if he's not
you know, cutting it in training camp, then he won't be fighting in March. And that's where you see, you know, a fighter like Kell Brook, whether it's going to make or break him. The training camp, it's not going to be the fight. You know, we saw James DeGale fight last Saturday, and he came back from a shoulder injury. It was a poor performance, and he got beat. You know, usually you see signs in a training camp well before that, whether the fighter's mentally or physically prepared for that. And as a coach, you've got to recognise that and make a decision at this moment in time. The fighter's ready to fight on that day, or the fighter's not ready to fight on that day. And, you know, we've got just over 11 weeks with Kell Brook. In another 4 to 5 weeks, when he's gone through the steady training and the level of training starts to go up, and there's more pressure on him, and there's harder, you know, training sessions and runs and weight sessions, that's, if there's any cracks going to appear, that's when the cracks will appear. And that's when I'll have to make the decision, is Kell Brook still the same fighter that can go through this? You know, the fight in March is what I call an 85% fight for him. You know, it's a tough fight. Rabchenko's a tough guy, he can punch, and if there are cracks in Kell Brook, Rabchenko will find them, and we'll know, but we'll know before he gets in the ring. So I'm expecting Kell to go through a full training camp, prepare properly, and put on a show on March the 3rd.
Radio Rahim with Dominic Ingle. Good luck with both of your fighters. Always a pleasure to talk to you, sir. Happy to have you on this side of the pond for once in a while.
That's it. Every now and again.
Radio Rahim with Dominic Ingle.